And the race is on to pass President Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill before July 4th. The Senate holding an all-night vote-a-rama on last-minute amendments to the bill. And the measure's causing a rift among lawmakers. Some are concerned it could leave millions without insurance. Others think it adds too much to the deficit. CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlyn Huey-Burns joins us now from Capitol Hill. Caitlyn, great to see you. What can you tell us about the amendments that have been passed and the ones that have failed so far?
Hey, good morning, Michael. Yeah, lawmakers have been working overnight, going on 22 hours of proposing and voting on amendments to this bill. To be honest with you, not many of them have passed. There was one that had to do with AI regulation and whether states can regulate their own AI. But otherwise, we're still waiting on some major amendments to this bill that would entail some changes or fixes. Over the weekend, there was some new language inserted in this bill that would essentially put a new tax on wind and solar projects if they use materials from China. That caused a lot of alarm bells among those in the renewable energy industry and among some lawmakers here on Capitol Hill. So there is a proposal that is coming to change that. So we're waiting to see on that one. There was another proposal that didn't pass from Susan Collins to create a $25 billion fund, essentially, that would go to rural hospitals. That is because this Medicaid provision in this bill, these deep cuts to federal Medicaid spending, have some lawmakers concerned about the impact it could have in rural areas and on rural hospitals, given the cost-sharing mechanism. So still a lot more to get through, Michael, but I would note that Vice President JD Vance arrived here on Capitol Hill just a short time ago, which signals that they could need him. They're likely going to need him to break a tie on final passage.
As we get closer and closer to that deadline, Caitlyn, are Republicans falling in line with the president? Are any still speaking out against the bill?
Well, Michael, as our viewers could see, they are still on the Senate floor. And what has been happening there in the wee hours of the morning and up until now, we've watched a lot of different kinds of huddles among lawmakers. And they're basically still at this hour trying to get the votes that they need for final passage. So a lot of last-minute twisting of arms, perhaps talking about potential incentives that they could put in further amendments to change this bill to appeal to those holdouts that they need. One person that we're eyeing, Michael, is Lisa Murkowski. She's a Republican from Alaska, one of the most moderate Republicans up here on Capitol Hill. She has expressed lots of reservations about this bill. She'd asked for a carve-out originally for the state of Alaska to be exempt from some of these Medicaid cuts. She didn't get in an amendment, but she is still pushing for some changes, also some changes to that renewable energy tax as well. So we'll see what those incentives are for some of these lawmakers, but already we know that at least one, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, has said that he's not going to support this. Rand Paul of Kentucky is opposed to this as well. They really can only afford to lose three.
Now, let's talk about the timeline. I know it's tough to read the tea leaves here, but how likely is it that this actually lands on the president's desk by July 4th?
As you note, the president set that July 4th deadline. It's an arbitrary deadline. He's the one that set it. But lawmakers up here really want to get to that, essentially fulfill that deadline that has been made by the president. Now, here's what's going to happen. If this passes the Senate today, at some point today, it will go over to the House. Remember, they still have to vote on this because there have been changes made to the Senate version. I can tell you, Michael, that there are some Republicans over there who have raised alarm bells about the changes here. You've got some moderates concerned about some of these newer cuts. Then you've got some conservatives concerned that those cuts don't go far enough. Some of those same old policy fights are going to play out. Speaker Johnson has a big road, a big bill ahead of him to try to get to the president's desk by July 4th, but he is insistent that they will get it done. He brought them back today.
All right, we'll continue to watch. Caitlyn Huey-Burns, thanks for joining us. And we're going to break this down for you. The Senate version of President Trump's tax and spending bill changes certain provisions from the House's original iteration, which will alter how it impacts millions of Americans. The chambers differ in their approach to health care changes, with the Senate's unique rules mandating what policies can be included. The Senate's parliamentarian found that a gender-affirming care ban violated the Byrd Rule, a limit on what can be inserted into bills passed with a simple majority of 51 votes. The parliamentarian also said cutting federal funding to states that support health care for undocumented immigrants outside of Medicaid is also a Byrd violation. Now, one new addition by Senate Republicans is a $25 billion rural hospital stabilization fund to offset some of the expected impact from reducing federal Medicaid funding. And when it comes to taxes, the Senate and House versions are similar, but with key differences. In the House bill, some of the tax increases were written to only be in effect during Trump's current term. For example, the House version raised the standard deduction by $1,000 for individual filers through 2028. The Senate's version makes a smaller amount permanent, and it's a similar story for the child tax credit. And when it comes to certain aid programs like food assistance, the Senate version of the bill keeps expanded work requirements, but reduces who will be impacted, instead of requiring parents of children over the age of 6 to show proof of work to qualify. The Senate's bill raises the age to 14 and over. So that means millions of families wouldn't be cut off from food assistance if they can't provide that proof. Now, the Congressional Budget Office estimated that over 3 million people would have stopped getting food assistance with the House's version.